As we all know, Python is a slow and kind of gross language to be dealing with. But why is that? Why is it that Python is so slow, bad, and disgusting compared to a good, nice, and good language like C? So to start off, I think we should understand how Python code gets executed, but I won't go too deep into how it works. Tell me in the comments if you want a longer video about the subject. First off, the source file where we actually write all the Python code gets thrown into a compiler. There a compiler converts the Python code to something called bytecode. This code is non-dependent on the platform, so all different computers can use the code. However, the bytecode cannot be used to execute the program. It has to be converted into machine code, which is the only code that the computers understand. So the bytecode gets line by line converted into machine code by the interpreter, also known as the Python virtual machine, and then the code can be executed. Let's now go through how a C program will be executed. The C program also gets thrown into a compiler, but instead of bytecode, the file is converted into assembly. It is also modified to be more efficient. The assembly code is then converted into a thing called an object file. The object file is then thrown into a linker, which as the name suggests links the source code with all the header files you're using. Afterwards, it is converted into machine code in the form of an executable file. So now, let's compare the processes. Python is much slower compared to C, as the bytecode is converted into machine code line by line. The program has to wait in between each line for the interpreter to convert the bytecode into machine language, which as you probably understand makes the program execute much slower compared to C, as the C file is converted as a whole to machine code. Another major thing that makes Python slower than other languages is that it wasn't made to be fast. Python was made to be easily understood and good for beginners. We can see this on the syntax of Python. In Python, the compiler takes care of a lot of things that otherwise would be handled by the programmer. As an example, there aren't any pointers in Python, as they for most programmers are hard to get a grasp on. There are also other things that makes Python good for beginners. In Python, there's a string variable that can be used like any other variable type, so the programmer don't have to use sharp pointers or arrays like you would in C. Quick little side note, I realized during the editing of this that you don't even have to declare which variable you're using in Python. To print out a message to a terminal in Python is also much easier than in C. Just look at the difference between the two. In C we have to include the header file iostream to even be able to print out things. Then we have to create the main function and we can finally print the message. But we also have to end the line with a semicolon. In the Python program, all we have to do is type in the function and what we want to print. With all that through, we know why Python is considerably slower than other languages like C. But it's also worth to remember that most programs we write don't have to be as fast as possible, so Python is still a really good language for beginner and advanced programmers. But C is still superior.